It's getting pretty crazy to the point where, remember when season 7, the season finale aired, and I'm like, man, how many L's are they going to give Hayden? I think I did like a whole L counter. I think I had close to like half a dozen, if not more, more than half a dozen L's that Hayden took in the season finale alone, where I'm like, man, look, the title of the episode is Had It Coming, but still, I mean, there are plenty of other characters who deserve some comeuppance in some way, but they're really, crapping on Hayden in this season, or in that episode. But season 8, I mean, they took his arrogance and dialed it up to like 15, and I'm like, bro, come on. I mean, when Marie told this man in his office in the last episode that you could stand to learn a few things from an older woman like me, or you need to let go of that ego or this chip on your shoulder because all it's doing is holding you back. You're a competent, what did she say? You're a competent attorney. Basically gave him the lowest level praise ever. But this reminded me of, and I forgot the exact conversation, but remember when Marie came to the show last season and she went over to Gary's office to have a sit down with him, and he was basically lying to Marie about the dynamic he has with Andy, her being the crazed stalker and this, that, and the third, when actually it's the other way around. And Marie smelled the BS the moment she even stepped into his office, and she gave him some advice about how you need to let this thing go, about this like ego trip you have, or why you feel this way about Andy because it's going to end up destroying you. And then we saw what happened at the end of the season. And I feel like if you pay attention, Marie was essentially telling Hayden, look, this path you're going down right now, it's not going to lead anywhere good. It's like you're going to end up in the unemployment line or something like that, because you're never going to get further in life because you're constantly holding grudges and belittling people and looking over the potential and opportunities. Basically, I think Ashton Kutcher said it during an acceptance speech at like a Kids' Choice Award or something. This stuck with me because I remember seeing it when I was in college, or probably when I was in college. The mistake a lot of people make, young and old, is that you overlook opportunities because essentially it's dressed up as hard work. Like basically the thing that's going to take you to where you want to go, you usually look past it or reject it because it's not immediately shown to you that, hey, if you work at this desk job, or if you work behind this counter at this fast food restaurant, it's actually going to open a door that's going to take you to where you want to go. But because it looks like hard work, you don't want to do it. So you just decide, oh, I want to do something else. And then you never get to where you desire to be because you're stuck in the same place because you don't open your mind to what's in front of you. And I think that's Hayden's biggest weakness. I mean, like Marie said, when I took my fame from my girl group I was in and started my record label, people scoffed at me. They thought it was a dumb idea. And then I turned into $1 billion company. And then from there, she just has like an instinct of how can she detect what's going to be a hit in terms of an investment versus what won't be. And then, you look at Hayden still holding on to Marie favoring Andy over her for the partner position. The fact that he isn't in the position of power he thinks he is, because one of the biggest complaints about this week's episode was the blatant disrespect towards black women that Hayden has been showing. I mean, all the constant, these dirty black B words and this, that, and the third. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, he is like throwing the B word around a lot. But I mean, when you think about it, he hasn't said it more times than Maurice. I mean, how many times has he talk down to Sabrina and use the B word towards her? Yeah, it's a quote unquote term of endearment, but it's still the B word. And I mean, when it comes to Hayden, they're just making it so, and I've made a video about Danny, like I feel like they're ruining her character just like they ruined Zach's character in season 7. We saw a character go through an arc with therapy where they aren't completely healed, but they're getting to the point where you could see their growth. But instead of building on the foundation of the development. They're just going to strip it down and have these characters act the way they used to in certain situations, showing major regression. So it's like, what's the point of feeling any sort of investment in these characters if we know for a fact they're just going to regress and act like their old stubborn selves? So I feel like the same thing is going to be applied here with Hayden, where I always vouch for him in terms of, hey, at the end of the day, Andy on paper brings in more money to the law firm, but if you look at her track record in terms of the trouble she gets herself and the law firm into, she's a massive liability. Hayden, on the other hand, he's not perfect. He screwed up himself, but he's the person who's more dedicated to the job, you know? And now it's like they're just making him so arrogant to the point of, bro, it used to be a joke that Gary and Hayden used to be like Dumb and Dumber. Or I remember calling them like, Saturday morning cartoon villains in this show. But now it's like, I'm looking at Hayden like, bro, you can't be this stupid to think that you are going to have power over somebody. Because in his mind, Andy's done for. Yep, she's losing allies, which honestly she is. She's going up the river for stabbing Gary, and I'm going to be partner, and Fatima, I'm going to rule over you. And it's just like, bro, just stop feeling yourself so much. I mean, even you can't believe the hype. I just feel like at this point, you are just way too arrogant for your own, for your own good. And when karma comes knocking on your door and everything falls apart, I can't even say, hey, you can quote me on this if I backpedal, but I can honestly say I can't say anything to be like, man, even I feel sorry for him. Like, no, because they made him such an a-hole that now it's like it's all going to fall apart and there's nobody to blame but himself, because he's focused more. And maybe that's one of his biggest problems if he becomes a partner. He doesn't treat people like people. He treats people like underlings. It's like, no, you need to work with people, treat them like valued assets as opposed to your ability to rule over people. I know a lot of black women were like, it's like, you have these brothers that are raised and, they're raised by black women, but then they go to like an Ivy League school, they get surrounded by white women, and all of a sudden they start crapping on the black women that raised them and this, that, and the third. Let me put it this way, and I want to say this with as much care as possible. The animosity that a number of black women had after, the election results last week, I feel like that anger has been shifted to Hayden. And now it's funny how he talks about Andy has no allies, where Hayden has no fans. I will put it that way. It's like everything, all the anger of black women last week has been, culminating into this large amount of rage. And it's being directed at this black man disrespecting all these black women: Marie, Fatima, Andy, Pam, Karen, and Laura, when he mentioned the little mute boy. Ooh! I love seeing the support for Michael, though. That was pretty cool. But yeah, at this point, I just feel like Hayden, they're dialing up his arrogance to not just a 15 or 17, but like a 49. And it's only going to get worse. I mean, Marie literally just said, don't you think it's a coincidence that Robin hasn't fired you? You have me to thank. So don't you think, Hayden, you should do what Marie asked you to do as opposed to showing her some attitude? Sheesh. But he did have a point, though, when Fatima was trying to, insinuate, even though it's true, Marie and Hayden's personal relationship outside of work. Well, I mean, Andy slept around too, so I really don't see the thing where it's like you call out Hayden when Andy slept with what? Paris, Robin. So, it is what it is. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.